A very good morning to very good morning to all of you. 1 minute, just give me 1 minute. Hello everyone, very good morning. In today's video, we will be discussing regarding the Invoice Management System, that is an IMS, and that is coming effective from 1st of October, as you already know, and it was live on the portal for the month of October 24. What is Invoice Management System? Invoice Management System is basically real-time dashboard where supplier save the invoices on a real-time basis in either in GSTR1 and either in the GSTR IFF or GSTR IA that are available to the recipient as and when saved by the supplier. We can say this kind of functionality has been introduced in the 53rd GST Council meeting. IMS words first time was used in the 53rd GST Council meetings, and that objective of this was just to reduce the errors and reconciliations between the input tax credit versus GSTR 2B and GSTR 3B. And it helps us to reduce the notices that we are receiving on account of ITC mismatch. That was basic objective to come IMS into the pictures. That is the basic crux of the IMS. For detailed discussion, we have prepared some PPT kinds so that we can entertain your questions and can share our detailed view. That let me share my screen for that. Hope my screen is visible to each and everyone. First, we will be starting with an introductions point. Introduction is basically that this IMS system came into the system from 1st of October 2024. This is kind of a communication layer between the supplier and between the buyer, recipient, because it acts as a communication layer between both of them. Because whatever action supplier is taking is visible to the recipient, and whatever action recipient is taking is visible to the supplier on a real time basis. So that's why we call it as a communication system between the supplier and the recipient, and this is a real time dashboard, because we are able to see each and everything as and when action is taken either by supplier or either by the recipient. As we already discussed, the basic objective to bring into the system is that to reduce the notices that we are receiving on account of ITC mismatch from the department, and to reduce the errors in the GSTR 3B reconciliations versus 2B and versus input tax credit. That was a basic objective to bring invoice management system into the picture. Each and every tax paying document will be going to be routed through the invoice management system, except some few documents that is not going through the invoice management system. This is communication layer between the supplier and the recipient, and we call it as real-time dashboard system because it facilitates the taxpayer to take the action on a real-time basis. And this system is coming into the picture from 1st of October 2024. This is for all kind of taxpayers, and either they are filing monthly returns or either they are filing the quarterly returns. It is applicable for all kind of tax paying documents except some few documents like RCM invoices, bill of supply, bill of entry that we will discuss separately in the separate slides. Right. What are the silent feature of this? The silent feature of this is the details that are furnished by the supplier in GSTR 1, GSTR 1A, and invoice functionality IFF that are furnished by the quarterly taxpayer, and the records, whatever saved by the supplier, is visible to the recipient as soon as the saved by the supplier. And now recipient has to take the actions on the invoice, whatever saved by the supplier. In terms of three actions are provided. One is acceptance, another one is reject, and third one is pending. First one is the accept. Supplier either has to accept or reject or keep it pending for the future action. When the recipient is keeping it for the future action, then there are certain limit by when it can put for the future actions. Because you already know section 16.4 defines as the time limit for taking the input tax credit. We can take the input tax credit by 30th November or due date of filing the annual return, whichever is earlier. IMS dashboard will keep the invoices, pending invoices, only to that extent. Post that, they will be moved out from the IMS dashboard. So that is the corrects of the IMS dashboard. Coming on the next slide. Next slide is the first IMS word was introduced in the 53rd GST Council meeting. In 53rd GST Council meeting, in order to facilitations measure, two important steps has been taken. One step was introduction of the GSTR 1IA. GSTR 1IA, earlier we were not able to amend the GSTR 1 returns. Right, but in 53rd GST Council meeting, GSTR 1A was introduced to rectify the invoices that we have furnished in the GSTR 1 but before filing the GSTR 3B. And second facilitation measure that was announced in that meeting was the IMS dashboard. That the two important measures that they have considered in the 53rd GST Council, both were very important for the taxpayer registered persons, and from GST point of view, that though both measure are, because GSTR 1A is also very important because it is going to reduce the mismatch between the GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B. And second important measure has been taken to reduce the error on account of ITC mismatch. That were the basic two decisions that were initiated in the 53rd GST Council, and that scheme was also introduced in the 54th GST Council meeting in a detailed version along with other action in the 54 GST Council meetings. And if we talk about our next slide, in next slide on 3rd of September 2004, a detailed advisory come on the invoice management system, which was capturing what will be covered in the IMS board, but IMS dashboard, what will not be covered, and how practically IMS dashboard will be going to be live. So all these kind of things were captured in this advisory. Let's start one by one. First one is that this was effective from the 1st of April, 1st October 2024. Once the supplier save the invoice in GSTR 1, invoice furnishing facility, and IA, same invoice is visible to the dashboard of the recipient on a real-time basis. Supplier, what will happen? Once the supplier has saved the invoices, supplier can amend that invoices that has been saved in the GSTR 1, but before filing the GSTR 1. The amended part will replace the original part. Let us suppose I have saved one invoices of 10,000 K on the GSTR 1 on 9th of November. But later on, when I was furnishing the returns, I came to know that should be 11K plus GST. But while filing the returns in GSTR 1, I have corrected that one. On 9th of November, the recipient was able to see the invoice of 9,000 K, but as and when it was replaced by the supplier with 11K on the while filing the GSTR 1, the amended document will replace the existing document either on the supplier on both portals, on supplier portal as well as the recipient portal, on both the portal. We want to say here that original will get replaced with the amended one if the action has been taken by the supplier before furnishing the GSTR 1 of the respective month. And these records will follow to the IMS dashboard of the recipient on a real-time basis. And on real-time basis, recipient can take the actions either in term of acceptance, either in term of rejection, or either it can keep it pending. First of all, we will discuss about acceptance. Acceptance, recipient should accept the invoices only when he is fulfilling the criteria for taking the input tax credit. Like he should have the possessions of the invoice, he should receive the goods and services, and he has made the payment to the supplier or proposed to make the payment to the supplier within 180 days from the date of the invoices, and goods or services has been procured in the normal routine kinds of business for business purpose only. So for acceptance, we have to check whether we are fulfilling the conditions specified under section 16 for availing the input tax credit. Then only we should click on the acceptance buttons. Otherwise, if we are not fulfilling the condition for taking the input tax credit, we should keep it pending for the action to be taken as and when we will be going to fulfill the condition of section 16. Right. So that we should click the accept button, be only with the carefulness. Next one is that rejections. Rejection is, we should do the rejection if we find out the invoice furnished by the supplier does not pertain to the us, or if it pertains to us and it is not correct, then we can do the reject part also. And third one is pending. Pending, we can keep the record as a pending to be considered in the succeeding months. Let us suppose I have procured something supplier has raised the invoices on me on 30th November of 10,000 K. But I have received the goods and services in the month of December only. As per the section 16, I am eligible to take the input tax credit only in the month of December. But it will follow to my IMS dashboard in the month of November only. Reason being, as a part of responsibility of the supplier has to furnish this invoice details in the month of November only, and that's why it will appear in my IMS dashboard in November only. But I am eligible to take the input tax credit in the December months only. So that's why I will not accept that invoice in the month of November GSTR 3B. I will keep it pending in the IMS dashboard and I will take the input tax credit of that invoice in the December month only. That is the main where we have to accept it and where we have to keep it pending for the future actions. Fourth one is that no action is taken. What will happen if recipient has not taken any kind of actions on the invoices, credit note, debit note, amendments that are appearing on the IMS dashboard? They will be assumed as deemed to be receipt. If no action is taken, they will be assumed as deemed to be receipt. That may create a problem in the futures. It will be deemed as accepted, and but there might be the problem that we are not fulfilling the other condition for acceptance and still it becoming the acceptance of the invoices. It might be the problem. So that's why it is suggested we should either accept them, be careful with be carefulness, and either we need to reject them and we can keep it pending for the future actions. And how much time we can keep the pending invoices in our IMS dashboard? Again, the questions theme, the section 16.4 come into the picture. Section 16.4 talk about the time limit for availing the input tax credit for any invoice or debit note by the 30th of November of succeeding year or due date of filing the annual return of that financial year, whichever is earlier. Pending invoice will remain in IMS dashboard only to that extent. So we have to clear our IMS dashboard on time to time basis as and when we are eligible to take the input tax credit. Google Pay. And once we have taken the action on the IMS dashboard, either in term of receipt, either if term of rejection, or either keep it pending, then we have to compute out our GSTR 2B. Then our GSTR 2B will be computed out basis the actions that we have taken on the IMS dashboard. And for quarterly taxpayer, if we talk about for the quarterly taxpayer, IMS GSTR2 IMS will be available on a real-time basis to the quarterly taxpayer also. But GSTR2B will be computed on a quarterly basis only. And there are the certain cases, hope it is clear to everyone how IMS dashboard will be going to work. And next thing that is most important on the supplier point of view, that there are the certain things on which supplier liability will get automatically increased basis the action taken by the recipient. Here the certain criteria on the supplier liability will automatically get increased. Let us suppose supplier has shown a credit note of 10K in their GSTR 1, but the recipient has rejected that. Recipient is saying that it doesn't pertains to me. Then it will increase the liability of the supplier in the subsequent month of GSTR 3B. So that is an important point that supplier is also be about careful what action is recipient is taking. If supplier is ignoring the recipient actions, then it automatically going to impact to the supplier as well. If any upward amendment means like earlier, supplier issued the credit note of 10,000 and he has done the amendment of that credit note from 10,000 to the 12K. That upward credit note amendment is rejected by the recipient, then it will also be going to increase the liability of the supplier. Third one is the downward amendment in the credit note. Original credit note was 10,000 and amendment done to the 9K. But if recipient has already rejected the original credit note, then this downward amendment will also become the liability of the supplier. Next one is the downward amendment in any invoice or any debit note post the action taken by the recipient as an accepted. If let us suppose supplier has furnished an invoice of 50K that was accepted by the recipient, but later on what supplier is doing? Supplier is reducing the value. It might be many reasons. It might be correct or it might be intentionally to reduce the liability. But government say no, after acceptance, if you are doing the downward amendment in the invoice or debit note, that will also going to become the liability in the GSTR 3B. Hence, supplier, not only recipient should be careful for the IMS dashboard, supplier should also be careful about the IMS dashboard, because in our later slides, when we will discussing our practical view, we'll be discussing from the recipient point of view as well as from the supplier point of view. We will discuss from both point of view. Next, all the accepted, rejected invoices will become the part of the GSTR 2B. Not pending invoices are not going to become the part of the GSTR 2B. Only accepted, rejected, or the invoices on which no action has been taken that are deemed to be accepted will going to become the part of the GSTR 2B. Right? Basis the action taken, GSTR 2B is generated and GSTR basis GSTR 2B, our GSTR 3B will be prepared. If let us suppose by mistake, I have accepted any invoice on the IMS dashboard, but later on, I have realized that it should be rejected. Can I do? Yes, I can do. I can do, but before filing the GSTR 3B only, not before that. That is the primary condition here. Right, I can recompute my GSTR 2B, I can change my decision in term of acceptance, in term of rejection, but before filing the GSTR 3B only. GSTR 2B is basically the sequential. Sequential, we can say that why it is sequential. GSTR 2B will not be generated until and unless we are filing the returns of the previous month. So that is recently CBSE has clarified that if you are not file the return of the previous month, then you will not be able to generate the GSTR 2B or the succeeding month. Then it is very important to do the compliance of the previous month and then go forward for the succeeding months. That was the corrects of the invoice management system, that details provided in the advisory on the 3rd of September. And it also clarified there are the certain supply that are all the tax paying documents will follow through the IMS dashboard. But there are certain documents that are not going to flow through the IMS dashboards. First one is the inverse RCM supply. Inward RCM supply may be from the registered supplier or maybe from the unregistered supplier. If it is from the unregistered supplier is not going to file any kind of IFF or GSTR1 any. So that's why there is no question of appearing in the IMS dashboard. Second one is that if RCM supply has been done by the registered supplier, but registered supplier will be filing their GSTR1 Registered supplier will be filing their GSTR 1 on a, just give me 1 minute. If inward RCM supply is done by the registered supplier will show that supply in their GSTR 1 as an RCM supply. But it will not going to be the part of the IMS dashboard. It will become the part of the GSTR 2B, but not become the part of the IMS dashboard. Second one is then ineligible ITC on account of place of supply. Let's take one example. I am having the GST registration in the state of Haryana, but if I am going in UP state and availing the hotel services, room rent services there, then supplier will charge the CGST and SGST on that. And place of supply will be the UP only. But I am not eligible to take the input tax credit of that in Haryana states. And that kind of invoices will also be not going to follow in the IMS dashboard, but definitely as what approach we are doing in GSTR 2B, it will be follow in the it will flow in the GSTR 2B, but not in the IMS dashboard. Second one, third one is that if we are not eligible to take the input tax credit by virtue of section 16.4. Section 16.4 talk about the time limit for taking the input tax credit. Time limit is basically the 30th November or due date of furnishing the annual return for any financial years. Post that, invoice will not follow into the IMS dashboard that we have already discussed. Next one is the non-resident GSTR 5. If non-resident taxable person is furnishing any invoice in GSTR 5 occasionally because they do not have any place of business in India, that kind of invoices are not going to follow in the IMS dashboard. Next one is the ISGAT document. ISGAT document is basically talk about the bill of entry that we usually find at the time of importing the material from outside India. In the advisory, they were saying ISGAT document will not become the part of the IMS dashboard. Agree. But when we see the practical view of the IMS dashboard, we will be able to see three things there. All other ITC, services from input service distributor, and imports of goods. So it's look like that in the original advisory, they are saying that ISGAT document will not be going to the part of the IMS dashboard, but it looked like later on they were going to integrate their iSCAT portals with the IMS dashboard as well, because we are able to see the icon there of imports of goods as well. As of now, it's not working, but it's look like it will work in the future and they will issue a revised advisory in that regard. Next one is the ITC reverse under rule number 37A. Rule 37, it talk about that we have to reverse the input tax credit within 180 days if we have not paid to the vendor. And we can re-avail this ITC without any time limit as specified under section 16.4. We can re-avail this input during my lifetime. There is no time limit prescribed for re-availment of that input once I make the payment to the supplier. Whenever I make the payment to the supplier, I am eligible to reclaim that input which I already reverse on account of non-payment to the supplier within 180 days. So that kind of invoices are not going to appear in the IMS dashboard. That input we need to take manually in the GSTR 3B. That is obvious. If all the invoices are moving out of IMS dashboard, then there is no question that they will come after the time limit specified under section 16.4. Hence, we have to take the input tax credit of that manually in the GSTR 3B. They are not going to become the part of the IMS dashboard. Let us understand some practical how our IMS dashboard is looking like practically on the portals. Hope everybody has seen while filing the GSTR 3B of the October month, but still I will go through quickly basis how our practical view is looking like on the GST portal. First, everybody can first of all log in on the gst.gov.in, then go to services and then go to return and then go to the Invoice Management System dashboard. Here you will be able to see two view. One is for inward supply, other one is for the outward supply. Inward supply is for the recipient point of view and outward supply, but the taxpayer has raised the invoices on their customer. So it will show the picture in term of inward and in term of outward as well. In term of recipient or in term of supplier. Both view we will be able to see on the IMS dashboard. First of all, we will going to discuss inward supply part under IMS dashboard. When you click on the inward supplies, you will be able to see this kind of portals. He is capturing all other ITC, inward supply from ISSD, and imports of goods. Here you are able to see that this screen is capturing import of goods as well. But in advisory, they said that ISK document are not going to become the part of there, but still option is appearing. That's my input that it may come in the futures. Talk about all other ITC. All other ITCs, B2B invoices, any kind of amendment, debit note, credit note, any kind of amendment in debit note and credit note. Once I click on the B2B invoices, then I will be able to see that screen. Here I need to click on accept, reject or pending. I can keep it pending also. And again, I'm repeating, if we are not going to take any kind of action there, then it will be deemed as accepted. So hence it is better instead of keeping blank, take some actions after complete review. Hence, you will be able to see that they have provided the functionality of search as well. They have provided the function of filter as well. We can filter out basis the vendor GSTN. We can filter out basis the month, and we can filter out basis the type of invoices as well. And we can type, status, how much invoices we accepted, how much invoices we rejected, and we can invoice type, status, we can filter out. So they have provided the functionality of filtering our IMS dashboard as well. Right. Next slide, it show that if you want to select all the invoices at one time, you can do that. But your actions should be same. Likewise, if I have in IMS dashboard, 20 invoices are appearing. I have clicked select all. Then all the invoices will get selected. And then I have to take the action in terms of either acceptance, either rejection, or either pending. Whatever invoices I have to select it, I have to keep my only one options. I can select whole invoices in the IMS portal at one time. I can select whatever invoices are appearing in my current page. I can select current page as well. I can select some of the records. Likewise, in that screen, I am able to see the 9 invoices are there. I want to take the actions accepted for 6 invoices, and for 3 invoices, I want to reject it. So what I will do, I will select 6 record and then I will click on accept. And then I will select rest record and then I will click on the reject buttons. So that there is a functionality of multiple selections as well. And one important things, they have provided the download of Excel option also. Download Excel options once we do the accept, reject, and pending, and without taking any action, even we can download that Excel as well for our easy convenience, for our matching with the purchase register and everything. But problem is that the company having 5,000 invoices, 10,000 invoices in the system, how they are going to manage that? They were saying that we will download the Excel, we will put the comment in that Excel and then we will upload it. But now this functionality is not, uploading functionality is not applicable as of now on the IMS dashboard, but it will be released soon because the company having 10,000 invoices, 20,000 invoices per month, they are not going to work like that because it is a very conservative, it is very clericals work to put kitting and it amount to error also. Either there should be some software that will integrate the IMS dashboard with the software, or either we should have the functionality of uploading the actions. I after taking the actions in the Excel part because it is a very cumbersome process of doing tick non-tick on the on this portals. So either there should be some uploading facilities or either there should be the linkage. Any software, most of the company are now the first IMS has been introduced. Now lot of software will be going to come into the market that will integrate the software with the IMS dashboard as well. So hence this functionality will also be coming in the future for uploading the Excel as well. Once I have either accepted, rejected, or pending, then it will look like on my dashboard how much total invoices, how much I accepted, how much I rejected, how much are pending. Then I can see the summary on my dashboard as well. Once I have finalized my each and everything on the IMS dashboard, then I will compute my GSTR 2B. Then basis that my GSTR 2B will get generated and basis GSTR 2B, our GSTR 3B will get finalized. That the from inward point of view, that IMS dashboard was from the inward point of view. Let's discuss this from the outward point of view as well. Outward supply is basically that the invoices that we have raised on the customer. We have to go to outward supply. Process will remain same. Services, go to invoice management system dashboard and then to go to outward supply. And then you need to choose a financial year and then you need to choose a return period. When you go to the return period, you will be able to see all the invoices that you have raised on the customer during the some specified period. Here I can open the invoices part and then it will look like that. I have raised these invoices and I can see the status of these invoices, whether recipient has accept in the status column. If you are able to see my screen, in the status column, you will see what action. Excuse me. We can see the status in the status column. Either we have accepted it, rejected it, or keep it pending. They have kept it pending. I can see the status whatever recipient has taken. If recipient has rejected any of mine invoice, I can go back and I can see whether I've done any kind of error. If I've done any kind of error, I will get it rectified. So that is going to be helpful for the supplier as well, because supplier will be able to see the action of the recipient on their dashboard as well. And supplier can also take the corrective action basis the actions of the recipient as well. So that's the outward supply. view that is going to be look like on the IMS dashboard. Next one is that there are some frequently asked questions as well that are issued by the CBSE for the clarification to the registered taxpayers that we are going to take. We have captured important one only for the clarifications. What will happen? First question is that what will happen to all accepted and rejected record? The record that we have accepted or that we have rejected will become the part of the GSTR 2B and they will be considered for filing the GSTR 3B. Right. First GSTR 2B will be prepared for the month of first. This IMS system is coming effective from the 1st of October and this will be applicable from October month, October 24. Third one is when the recipient taxpayer can take the action. Recipient taxpayer can take the actions as and when invoices saved by the supplier. And it will be visible to the recipient on a real-time basis and recipient can take the action as and when saved by the supplier. Next, most important, can credit note can be kept as a pending item? Can supplier leave it as a pending item? No. Recipient cannot keep the credit note as a pending item because it is going to impact the liability of the supplier. Recipient has mandatorily to take the actions on the credit note that are furnished by the supplier, either in term of acceptance or either in term of rejection. Next one, that is most important. It is very imperative. If you are not taking any action in the credit note, that will be deemed accepted. So it is careful, take the action on the credit note. You cannot keep them pending in your IMS dashboard. If I have rejected any credit note, whether it will be going to become the liability of the supplier in the same month or in the subsequent month. If I have rejected any credit note, any upward movement in the credit note, that will not be going to become the liability of the supplier in the same month. It will be going to become the liability of the supplier in the next month. Let's take one example. Supplier has issued a credit note of 9th of November and on 9th of November, recipient has rejected it. But basis rejections, this credit note is not to be going to be added in the liability of the supplier in the month of November. It will be added in the liability of the supplier in the month of subsequent month. That subsequent month in that case is the December month only. It means it will not be added in the current month liability. It will be added in the subsequent month liability. Because there is a logic also. Logic is that if it become the liability at the time of filing the 3B or 1 whatever of the supplier, and when recipient change his action at the time for filing the 3B, then it will become a rectification process. Hence, to avoid that kind of things, CBSE has announced that these kind will be added in the liability of next month instead of in the current month. Next one is that, are there any invoices or record where we cannot allow the pending action? One we have already discussed. For credit note, it cannot be kept as a pending item. And any upward movement in the credit note also cannot be kept as a pending item. We need to take the actions on the upward amendment in the credit note as well. And further, downward amendment in the credit note, downward amendment, let us suppose supplier has raised the credit note of 10K, later on it amend to the 9K. But if recipient has already rejected the original credit note, then on that downward amendment, recipient cannot take the pending actions. Just give me 1 minute. Next one is the downward amendment of the invoices or debit note. Let us suppose supplier has issued the invoices initially for 1 CR and later on it reduced to it 80 lakh, and downward amendment in the invoices should be either accepted or should be either rejected. We cannot keep this item as a pending item in our IMS dashboard. Next one is there any scenario where the GSTR2B will not be generated? Yes, definitely. There is a scenario. It might possible GSTR2B may not be generated because we have not filed the GSTR3B of the previous month. That might be the reason. This is that we can't say that GSTR2B will not be generated, and now it has become a sequential part. First, we have to furnish our compliance of previous and then we can go forward. Next one is that can I take the action multiple time on the document? Yes, I can take the actions multiple times on the document. Either I can accept, I reject, either keep it pending. I can keep my changing my decision, but by when I can keep changing my decision? Only till the filing of GSTR3B. Once I file my GSTR3B, I will not be able to change my action. What about the quarterly? What about the GSTR2B or the quarterly taxpayer? GSTR2B for the quarterly taxpayer will be generated only and only on the quarterly basis. But in their IMS dashboard, they will be able to see all the invoices on a real-time basis as and when they are saved by the supplier in GSTR1 and GSTR IFF functionality and GSTR IA. But 2B will be generated only and only on the quarterly basis. Next question is that what will be happen? IMS dashboard is coming into the picture. GSTR2 is coming into the picture. What will happen into the GSTR2A? GSTR2A will remain same whatever as of now. It will not be going to change. It will remain the same. Next question is that can I download the Excel from IMS dashboard? Yes, you can download it. Excel to see all the invoices at a one place. And later on, there might be the functionality of uploading back to the dashboard after taking the action. But as of now, we have only downloading facility, not uploading facility. We have to manually click on the portal. This is going to big problem until and unless some option come for uploading, or until and unless there are some software that are going to integrate the IMS dashboard with the software, because otherwise it is very going to be cumbersome process for the having big company, big organizations having 10,000 invoice in a month. Will RCM document received from the registered taxpayer will become the part of the IMS? No. Even if registered supplier is showing the invoice in their GSTR1, in GSTR IFF, or in GSTR 1A, but it will not follow to the IMS dashboard. It will become the part of the 2B, but not the IMS dashboard. Hence, RCM documents will not follow through the IMS document. All the text being document will follow through the IMS dashboard, but not the RCM one. That were the clarifications that has been issued by the CBSE on the IMS dashboard. And now we have captured detailed procedure, practical view, and the clarifications on the IMS dashboards. If anybody have any questions. And let's move to the summarize part. And summarize parts, recap, complete IMS dashboard in a one slide that I have captured, complete IMS dashboard in one of the slides. And that is going to recap what we have understood in our earlier slides and what is the crux of the IMS dashboard. First, first step is that supplier will save the invoice text print document in their GSTR1, in their GSTR IFF, GSTR1A, and it will reflect to the receiver dashboard on a real-time basis. Once it visible to the IMS dashboard of the recipient can take the action either in term of acceptance, either in term of rejection, or either it can keep it pending. And if all the invoices that has been accepted will become the part of the GSTR2B, and all the invoices that has been rejected will not going to become the part of the GSTR2B, and the invoices that has been kept as a pending will not be considered for the GSTR2B of the current month. It will be flowed to the succeeding month IMS dashboard for the future action. But still, up to a certain limit that has been specified under section 16.4, that is the 30th November or due date of filing the annual return, whichever is earlier. And fourth one is that if you have not taken any kind of action, then all the record will be considered as an accepted. Whatever record on which you have not taken the actions will be considered as a deemed accepted. And then what will happen? Supplier will file their GSTR1. Once supplier filed the GSTR1, only the invoices that has been filed by the supplier will going to become the part of the GSTR2B. This is the important point. If any of the invoices that has been just saved by the supplier, not filed by the supplier in their return, will not going to part of the GSTR2B of the subsequent month. Then it is very imperative that supplier need to file their returns to appear in the GSTR2B of the recipient. And recipient can regenerate the GSTR2B as many times as he wants. He can change his actions from acceptance to rejections and from acceptance to dependency and vice versa in many more combinations, but only before filing the GSTR3B of that month. He can regenerate multiple times. He can compute out 2B. He can change his decision multiple times. But all decisions can be taken only before filing the GSTR3 of the returns. And all the accepted, deemed accepted, and rejected vote will move out from the IMS dashboard after filing the 3B. But the invoices that has been kept as a pending will move to the next IMS dashboard till the time of 30th November or due date of filing the annual return, whichever is earlier. That was a complete recap of the IMS dashboard, and it is very pivotal moment in the GST, and because it might increase the litigation because everything is visible on the portal, what action supplier taking, what action recipient taking, and it might increase the, and it is basically all tax paying documents are going to be through this portal only, and that is a very pivotal change in the GST, and very imperative change also. So we should be very careful for IMS dashboard. If anybody having any kind of query can write to me on my email ID and the mobile number appearing on my screen. And I'm also happy to take any kind of questions right now. And you can reach out anytime for any kind of clarifications and for any kind of query anytime. Sanjay ji, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
तो
And question from anybody?
मैं एक बार YouTube पे देख लेता हूँ एक बार।
Yes. For any kind of query, you can reach out anytime. I am available for my
Hello, ma'am. I have a query regarding the IMS dashboard.
right.
Very good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, I have a question that why the invoices that has not been filed in the GSTR1 till date by the supplier, they are auto-populating in the IMS portal.
They are auto-populating in the IMS dashboard, I understand, but they are not going to the part of the GSTR 2B. Once you will download GSTR 2B and when you are going to file the GSTR 3B, that will not become the part of the 2B. Because if you go and read out the section 16 that your supplier must have paid the GST liability, whatever invoice he is raising on you. So you can ensure only seeing the status whether they have filed the returns or they have not filed the return. I understand they are appearing in IMS dashboard, but they will not become the part of the 2B and 3B as well.
Ma'am, IMS is generally a combination of GSTR2A and not filed invoices, right? GSTR2A is completely IMS with like a supply is filing an invoice. Is GSTR1 on 14th? Then they are also populating in the IMS portal. And the supplier who is not filing the GSTR, those invoices are also populating in the IMS portal. So
IMS
it's
dashboard is populating, but they are not still. I'm saying ki IMS dashboard you will be able to see if they have furnished the return or they are not furnished the return. But when you compute out your GSTR 2B, they will not going to become the part of that invoice. That kind of invoice will not going to become the part of that.
thank you so much.
Yes. Any other query? Okay, still anybody having any question can write in emails and I will be happy to assist and hope you enjoyed this session and we will be bringing more summarizing. I will be keep sharing on my this PPT as well and in the YouTube link. And thank you everyone. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.